Okay, welcome back to The Gauntlet, our traditional end-of-year movie fest where I try to see the last few stragglers from the year before compiling my top 10 lists for the end of the year. Once again, a special version of that this year because these are the last couple of reviews that will be done here in Tennessee, and I believe this may be the send-off for the film crew. So yeah, kind of special review here, and a special film to use on it. So this was a movie that, like so many that aren't big blockbusters anymore, they get kind of limited releases and then are very quickly regulated to the streaming service. And I hate to think that that's the way that the movies are going to be from now on, but in post-pandemic world, I think that may be just how things are going to translate for a little while, where the movies are going to be reserved for the big budget blowouts, and the smaller films will get limited releases and then have to go to streaming, which, you know, not bad. The only problem is not a lot of people are aware of them, and not a lot of people get eyes on them. And as kind of with one of the last pictures I did, she said, I think that is kind of the case here with Spoiler Alert, because I feel like this is one of the most touching and engaging films that I've seen all year, and it's probably one of the best romance movies that I've seen in quite some time, with one of the most realistic couples, with one of the most realistic portrayal of real-world relationships that I can remember in a very, very long time. So for those who don't know, hang on, let me adjust that, there we go. So for those who don't know, this is based on a book, which I believe is based on a true story, about a couple played by Jim Parsons of Big Bang Theory fame, and Ben Albridge, I'm sorry, I don't have his name right in front of me, Albridge, who play Michael and Kit. I like the naming convention. And they meet, they fall in love, they have a long-term relationship, which in turn has its struggles, its strife, its complications, until it turns out that Kit, played by Ben Aldridge, is diagnosed with rectal cancer and passes away. I don't feel bad telling you that, because that's the whole point of the title of the movie, Spoiler Alert. I mean, the name of the book is Spoiler Alert, the hero dies. So, I mean, I don't feel bad in exposing that fact. So this is not what you'd call, I don't even know if you'd classify this as a romantic comedy. I don't feel like it fits into that. It feels like it fits more into just the realm of a romance, something along the lines of An Affair to Remember, or something of that weight. It's not that it doesn't have humor. It does. It's a very fun film, especially in the early goings of their relationship. And again, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again. I think that one of the things I love about this film the most is just how natural the dialogue and the character interactions are. Jim Parsons and Ben, I'm not even trying to say his last name now, have some really great natural chemistry, and the lines feel like people talking and firing back and forth. And I think anybody who's ever been on a date or been with the person that they're kind of meant to be with, and you fall into that natural chemistry, and you're just kind of bouncing off each other really, really well, and you're like, oh my God, is this, it feels like it's pre-written when it's right. And they really capture that. Their relationship is really, really beautiful, and like I said, realistic. I like that one of the thematic underpinnings of this film is that life and real life romance does not follow a 3-act structure. You know, it's like one of those things you see people on TikTok news, you know, will this romantic comedy couple make it in real life? You know, after they kiss and get together and the credits roll, what happens to them then? You know, and this movie kind of says, yeah, that's true. Once these two guys get together, what happens? What is the course of life? And it's kind of interesting because Jim Parsons' character keeps saying things like, well, this is not how our story was supposed to end. But it kind of is. Maybe not when it's supposed to end, but it is how it's supposed to end. There's a line from House. It's one of my favorite lines from House. And Wilson says it to him. And he says that any relationship that doesn't end in breakup ends in death. Everything ends, but you have to grab for any trace of happiness while you can. And that's kind of what this movie is saying, that yeah, this is how it was supposed to end. This is how long-term relationships end. And yeah, you have to deal with that, and you have to grow with it. I also got to say, so let's talk about kind of the main point about this movie. That is Jim Parsons, who, of course, as I said, for over a decade has been best known to most people as Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory. And that's a hard character to kind of break out of the mold of. And I think he does a pretty decent job, though I do think the shadow of Sheldon is going to be hanging over him for a bit, for quite a while, especially since The Big Bang Theory is still very popular in reruns, and he's still doing the voice of young Sheldon, the adult voice of young Sheldon, I could say. The performance reminds me a lot of when I saw Lou Costello on an episode of Wagon Train, and he's playing a dramatic role. It's a very good performance, but you're so used to the affectations and vocal inflections of Sheldon that when you hear him talk, you keep expecting him to go into that. And that's not a fault of him. I want to stress that. That's not anything to do with the character. Because the character he's playing is fantastic. I love the character that he plays. I think it's a great character. I haven't seen a character I've related to quite as much. This is a guy who is obsessed with television. He writes for TV Guide, dream job. I would love to do that. And he is obsessive in his collectibles. One of the best scenes, this is one of my favorite scenes in the film, is the first time he takes Michael back to his apartment, and he comes in and sees that Jim Parsons' character is an avid Smurf collector, that he's got Smurf memorabilia everywhere. And at first it's a little off-putting to the audience and to Michael, because yeah, if you walk into a house and everybody's, you know, every conceivable surface is covered with Smurfs, yeah, you'd be like a little, what? But then he kind of explains, you know, it started when I, you know, with my mom, she bought me a Smurf, and, you know, she would buy them for me, and it kind of became an obsession after she passed away, and everything kind of blossomed. And man, can I relate to that. I mean, anybody who walks into my apartment before it was being packed up would see the DVD wall, the canes, the comic books, the coffee mug collections. I mean, I'm an avid collector. And my girlfriend is too. You know, she collects tumblers and coffee mugs and gnomes. I think collections are an insight to a person's personality. I love to know what people collect. And that scene just felt so real to me. And again, his character in whole, and I love the way they use his television fixation, or not even fixation. It's not like it's a bad habit. It's just what he loves and what he relates to. I love how they use that throughout the film. You know, for instance, he talks about early on how he always envisioned his upbringing almost like an 80s sitcom. So anytime he has a flashback, it's shot and kind of the visual cues are there to reflect an 80s sitcom, and it's really smart. Even though there are tragic things he's remembering, the way it's done is very clear of how he uses it as a coping mechanism. And they use this. I'm not gonna spoil this, ironically, because I think this is one of those things that I thought was really beautiful about the movie. In the end, when Michael is finally dying, they use this kind of television motif thing as once again a visual metaphor for him passing, and for Jim Parsons to kind of say goodbye and all that. And it's really beautiful and clever and well done, and I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, just a good character to be kind of your main focus. Pardon me, it's not a perfect film. I didn't really like the character of Michael, and I'm not sure why. And again, I think it's one of those things on how well done the film is, that again, these feel like real people, and so when you see him and you see his character, you kind of, I don't know, you get kind of a feeling like if your best friend was dating this guy, or if someone you knew was dating this guy. Yeah, he seems nice, but there'd be something about him that I wouldn't like. You know, I think we all can relate to that. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the character. The performance is really good, but I don't know. There's something about the character that I don't know. It felt. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Also, kind of bizarrely, so Sally Field plays Michael's mother, and I don't know. She is feeling like the character feels overwritten and a bit overplayed. Now, again, this I think this is based on a true story, so it's possible that this is actually how the real life Michael's mother acted. But I don't know. She just it felt like too much. It felt like too much, and I didn't like when she was on screen. And again, it's not that she was a bad character. It wasn't like one of those, she doesn't like her son for being gay or can't accept him or anything. But I don't know. She felt overdone. She felt almost like Howard's mother on The Big Bang Theory with her obnoxiousness. I don't know. So yeah, that was kind of bizarre, because usually Sally Field is rock solid. But yeah, that performance I just couldn't get behind. But those are minor quibbles. Okay, so I guess we got to talk about this. And we're debating whether or not I wanted to even touch on this, but I think we need to. And let's talk about the fact that this is a LGBTQ plus, and if I'm leaving letters out, I'm sorry, love story. A major film about a gay couple. And again, I was debating whether or not I even wanted to touch on this, because I wanted to look at this not as a gay love story, but as a love story. I think that's what we need to do as a society, is stop classifying these things and go, oh, this is a gay story and this is a straight story. Like, it's a love story. And like I said, watching it, I could relate to the characters and relate to the situation. And I think any couple can relate to what these two are going through, be they gay or straight. And I think that's one of the big strengths about this film, is the fact that they are gay is never really commented upon. It's not put up on this pedestal or made to be the shining light of the film. It treats it like it's the most, and it is. I think that's the thing we got to remember here. It treats it like it's the most normal thing in the world. And that these characters are not stereotypes. They're not stereotypical gay media representations. These people feel a lot like the gay people I know, and I think that's really important. I think that's the kind of movie that we should be making and we should be watching, because again, the only way we're going to move forward as a species and as a society is if we stop treating all of these people who are different from us in any way, shape, or form, be that sexual orientation, race, religion, like they are different from us. And they're really not, you know? And I really like that this film did not go down any of the typical rabbit holes or give into the typical tropes. The only one it kind of did really early on was Michael hadn't told his family that he was gay, and so he was hiding it from them. And when it finally comes out, no pun intended, the reaction is, well, why didn't you tell us sooner? We don't care. That's wonderful. And okay, this is your boyfriend. Well, let's meet him. And then they treat Jim Parsons' character like you would a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law, you know. I just think it handled all of that stuff incredibly well. And again, I have to say that this review and all this is coming from a straight white male's perspective. I think it's really great representation, and I would hope that since LGBTQ people are involved in it, that they feel it's good representation too. But again, I'm not the authority on that. From my standpoint, as a straight white moviegoer and amateur critic, I think it was really well done, all of it. I think it did everything right in that respect. I think this is a beautiful film. I think this is a great love story. And yeah, I want more people to see it. More people deserve to see this movie. It deserves to be seen because I think it can be a landmark film in inclusion and representation, these things that we're trying really hard to kind of get better at. And I think it could be one of those first salvos, or so I highly recommend this one. And my advice to anybody, you know, if you are of the LGBTQ community, I hope that you enjoy it. And if you have different views, please let me know. I like to educate myself. And even if you're not like me, you can still watch it, and the love story is still really good. You know, again, don't look at it as a gay love story. Look at it as a love story. And then everybody can enjoy it. And I think that's what makes this a really powerful film. So, all right. So we're really on a roll here with these last couple films that we're seeing. So let's do it. Let's do it. Final grade for spoiler alert. Once again, going a solid A on this one. We are hitting a lot of A's here in the tail end of the year, but a lot of A's. And this one earns it. It's a really, really good film, and I highly, highly recommend it. So go check it out. All right, so there you have it. So thank you for joining me. Thanks for coming with me. Thank you, film crew, for all the years of service. And yeah, so as always, take care and drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.